There's one rule that everybody has to follow. What is the most important thing in your life?
Family.
So when kids want to rebel against their parents,
It's not against their parents, it's for
Doesn't have to be.
when kids want to rebel against their parents and they decide not to be religious, they're rebelling against what is most important to the parents.
They're not rebelling against their parents or
Yes or no?
themselves.
They're rebelling, punishing their parents by rejecting what is the most important thing to the parents.
Not punishing your parents.
Yeah, it's very
Parents
true.
have to
That's very
accept who
true.
you are and how you were brought up. and
So
what
listen. If you're rejecting what is most important to them, and what is most important to them is the religion, now I know what the problem is.
What if what's most important to them is not
Then you
religion,
should
you're still
reject them
rejecting
if
it?
they-
Whatever it is. If anything is more important to the
No, you're
parents,
rejecting religion, even if it's not.
What if it's not religion? What if it's just like everyday thing?
Listen to the
if anything is more important to the parents than the child will reject it. Why?
So religion is more important than the child.
Uh-huh.
Seriously?
No.
If being a doctor is more important than me, then I will not be a doctor.
Exactly. That's true. It's kind of self-contradictory.
That's a
It's true.
smart way of, like, yeah, that's smart.
So not only is he telling you what he's objecting to, he's telling you that what is most important to you should not be. And you hear this, people say it out loud. All they care about is whether I'm being tznius. All they care about is whether I'm saying,
All
Yeah.
they care about is whether I'm
But maybe inside they do
Yeah.
care about about you, and they're trying to do what's best for you.
but they got it backwards.
Yeah.
So why are they thinking backwards? Like,
Because we all think backwards sometimes. Parents are like us. They're not. Everyone's.
There are parents who are a little bit self-conscious, and they're worried about whether they are good parents. And the way they know that they're good parents is if they can get you to be religious.
If they could get
So if they can't get you to be,
All the children
so then they feel
are
guilty
religious.
as if they're not good
it's all
parents.
about them. It's not about
Also,
me.
if you're
It's-
just like them, then they can relate to you.
Huh?
Is that also? Like if they bring you up the way they were brought up, then they'll be able to connect to you better.
Then they'll feel successful. They'll feel like they're good parents.
If they feel
They
successful.
succeeded in raising good kids, and then everybody's happy, except the kid.
But that's so screwed up because
They're
the
using
kid is happy.
So the one rule that has to be that your
We
child
both, like meet all our parents and like come speak first.
your child comes first above everything else. And because your child is so precious to you, that's why you want to give them the right advice, and you want to give them a good lifestyle, and you want them to do the right thing and not get hurt. But only because of them, not in spite of them. Well, you have to do this no matter what you think. What does that mean? That you're not important?
What if you want to do something that's let's say your parents don't let you like listen to some like non-Jewish music, but it's not that you don't want to listen to them, it's that you like the music, so you listen to it.
But
Does that have to do with them?
But you agree with them that it's not kosher. You don't argue. You don't make,
Right. But then like behind their back, you're still doing it.
and you'll tell them you do it. Don't sneak.
If you
But
don't agree
what
with
if they
them,
get mad
that's
at you
it.
and like
That's a relationship. Sometimes you get mad, but there's a relationship. If you start sneaking,
What if it's like passive aggressive?
that's sneaky.
No. I mean, like, you're saying if you get mad, that means a relationship. What if they don't get mad? It just like
Upset.
no. It's
Without
like
showing it.
if they
silent.
don't care.
So they're
They
upset.
shut you out.
You,
Is that-
So
is
okay,
it
so
still a
let's get at least one thing accomplished. Parents always have to let the children know that they come first. Then you
Yeah,
can
but
tell me
so-
whatever you want. On the other hand, children should never do things behind their parents' back.
Tell my parents everything.
I don't.
I try so hard to.
Because the secrecy is worse than what you're doing.
It feels safer when your parents know everything.
Mm-hmm.
We also trust you more in the
More
future
safe.
because they hear
Because
you
they know
telling
what you're
everything.
Like what I did the other day. told my parents and I felt much safer.
And they were fine. But hopefully
But they made me know that
And what
they
if you
care
do,
about
then
me and
what?
they want me to do
Then
right.
you
I heard a very
Right.
impressive story. Rabbi Klein was the Rebbe's secretary, and he would often drive the Rebbe to the oil and back. So one time the Rebbe asked him to do something, take care of something, and he did. And he was looking for an opportunity to tell the Rebbe that he did it, because you got to report back. But he didn't find an opportunity, right? So they're driving back from the oil. They're on Eastern Parkway, on the main road, ready to make a turn onto Brooklyn.
is it just them two?
Yeah. The Rebbe was sitting in the back, and he was driving. And the Rebbe asked him, "Did you do that job I asked you to do?" He said, "Yes." So the Rebbe said, "Then why didn't you tell me?" And the Rebbe started giving him a piece of his mind, how you have to report back, you have to be responsible, you have to... He stopped the car, in the middle of the road, he stopped the car and turned around to face the Rebbe. Because if somebody is telling you off, face it.
Or there's consequences.
It would have been much more comfortable to avoid looking at the Rebbe and just keep driving. I'm busy driving. He said, no, you want to tell me off? Stop the car, turn around, and take it like a man. That's respectful, that's dignified, don't hide, don't run away from criticism or from failure.
What if you're scared?
Yeah, he was scared. He was very scared. But that's what made him special. So, if you want to have a healthy family, then you have to be healthy in your family.
Communication.
Being religious doesn't make a healthy family. If you're devoted to being religious, you'll be religious. If you're devoted to family, you'll have a family. But you can't have a family because you're devoted to being religious. And the same with marriage. If you want to have a marriage, you got to be devoted to the marriage. Yeah, we're all devoted to the children. Yeah, but what about the marriage? So every issue, every aspect of your life demands its own attention. Nothing's going to happen indirectly because you're religious, so your marriage is going to be good. No, if you don't attend to the marriage, if you neglect the marriage won't be good. So that's why people say, how come my marriage is no good? I did everything right. You did everything right? Yeah, I davened and I... What does that have to do with your marriage? So you think if you behave well in one area, everything else should work? Even though you're neglecting it?
So why do people say, like, oh Hashem, I'm going to say chita, so could you make that work out? Like, no
If he
connection.
agrees to that deal. Maybe he's not
Right.
agreeing to that deal.
No, why are you making the deal? They're two different things.
That's right.
Why are they doing that?
I think we all do.
It's an easy way out.
Okay,
Some help.
Mhm. So let me ask you a personal question. How are you doing with honoring your parents?
Not really. I'm going to change that.
It's not going to happen by itself. How do you honor your parents? How are you supposed to honor your parents?
By doing what they asked you.
What?
Not doing what you want. I mean,
Respecting
by
them.
respecting.
What does that mean?
Maybe respecting what they care about. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to agree with anything your parents say.
You don't have to agree.
But you have to listen.
Hmm?
You're talking about Tara's perspective or
Yeah.
You have to listen.
You have to listen to them?
You have to.
What if it's already like,
You can't be rude about it. You have to respect. I don't know. It's on.
Let's talk practical. Without getting emotionally entangled.
am not emotional.
What?
I was not referring to you. Honoring parents means doing little tasks for them so that they don't have to do it.
Like telling them if you're doing something behind their back.
Hmm?
Like what?
Like they're sitting by the table and they need a cup.
Without asking you just.
What if they don't want like favors from you?
What?
I think everyone wants to do it.
What,
No,
ki-
you don't admit it.
what kind of parents don't want favors?
Okay, wait.
So literally the mitzvah is to carry their bags if they're carrying something, carry it for them, help them on with their coat if they're having
Is
a
it all
hard time.
without them asking you or with them asking?
Without asking.
Just doing it to be
Yes.
respectful.
So
You
when
have
you
to stand up when they walk in.
that would be nice.
Yeah, but it's so weird to
It's
do
so
that.
fake.
Like,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
It's 'cause-
Fake.
Let's just
Like,
cause
you
social.
just-
But
no
if,
one
if
does
it's
that.
normal, but if it was the normal thing, then you would do it.
No, not
So-
even that. It's like that doesn't matter
It's
when
always social.
respect is like
But if
basic
you don't respect them.
speaking, respect, tone, and all that is so much. They don't need your favors if you're not doing that.
Of course. It's all the same project.
So they're expecting you to already be.
So
basically
what does it
normal.
mean when you stand up when they walk in?
Acknowledge them.
Acknowledging what?
You're a higher figure in my life. You have to appreciate it.
That it's disrespectful to remain sitting as if nothing happened? Now, it doesn't mean you jump up out of your seat every time they walk in and out of the kitchen, you know what I mean?
Right. So
But if you haven't seen them all day and they walk in, not every minute that they're in the house, you know, just. But even if you don't stand up, which does seem a little awkward because you don't see anybody doing it, but bringing them a cup of tea, bringing them the spoon, the sugar, whatever it is they need at the
They don't
table.
do that. They're not like that. What?
but no, don't think about
That's
social,
really-
think about in general. Like for you.
My mom doesn't sit on the couch and drink tea. She's out probably more than I am.
So you have to find an opportunity where you can do something for her. And parents who reject it and tell the children, you don't have to do this for me, they're not doing the children a favor.
You're doing themselves good.
Nobody benefits from that. Children have to have an opportunity to fulfill the mitzvah of honoring parents.
You have to do it whether they like it or not.
Huh?
That's not respecting them. We do not. If you do it, and they don't want it, then
Right.
then that's not exactly doing. You're just
Yeah, then they're blocking
telling your
you.
mother, okay, you need help, and she gives you a job, so then you say, I don't want to do that. So what are you going to do? I can sit on the couch and just be quiet for you. Like that's not helping anybody.
Yeah. So now let's look at it on the negative side. Honoring your parents means you never ask them to do anything for you that you can do yourself. In other words, that's the reverse. You're supposed to make their life easier,
Like what?
like asking your mother to get the sugar.
No, I mean like in like harder things.
Hmm?
Like not like simple things.
No, in simple things.
What about harder things?
Harder things are more complicated. So if you can do it yourself and you ask your mother to do it for you, what are you actually doing?
Making her work with her.
You're using her to save yourself a little. That's so disrespectful. So even something as simple as your mother is coming downstairs and your jacket is upstairs and you say, can you bring my jacket down? What are you doing? You're saving yourself a trip up the stairs?
You see. Oh, what does she offers to?
She can offer anything and do whatever she wants.
She has to do
But you
everything she
can't
wants.
ask her.
But
I mean, think of the attitude that you're expressing. You're up anyway. You're coming down the stairs anyway. Is it so hard to carry my jacket down?
oh, even if you're already upstairs.
No. If you're downstairs and she's upstairs, you think, is it a big deal for her to bring your jacket down?
Okay, what if they don't like? What if you're like in the back of the car and
So imagine if it wasn't your mother. Imagine if it was the Rebbe.
and if you move, then everything's gonna fall off.
No, imagine if it was the Rebbe. Would you say, can you get my jacket? It's hanging right there.
My mother's not the Rebbe.
Why would you not do it with the Rebbe? I mean, what's the big deal? He's coming down anyway.
He's old.
He's older.
What if your mom is old? Like,
Mom's not
same
old.
thing. Okay, one day.
Yeah, sometimes mothers are older than their
It's old,
daughters.
then yeah.
They'll be like,
So,
What?
if you want to make a serious improvement in your life,
just tell your parents everything.
no, start with honoring them.
You're not honoring them if you're doing something behind their back.
What if
I'm
you don't
telling
have
them.
the opportunity to honor them?
Got to find one.
Like,
Even when your mother's not home, if you prepare something for her so that she won't have to do it when she gets home, that's honoring her.
You don't know what she's expecting, what you want.
Right.
Well, you know her habits. When she comes home, she's going to put something on the fire to boil up some water. So boil up the water
But
for
she's
her.
But what if
unpredictable.
you boil water?
Unpredictable mothers.
oh, she doesn't want
That's
your
a lot of
help.
fun.
That's the point. She'd rather you not.
Oh,
A favor of her would be like stay out of her way.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good.
So what do you do about that?
Yeah, you got to figure out what's wrong, and it's better to have a relationship than not have a relationship.
I know
So
that.
stay out of my way is not a relationship.
That's the point.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be the child's fault if the parent does say
It
that.
doesn't matter whose fault it is. Who's going to suffer?
Both of them. Honestly.
Hmm.
No, not both.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you
Fight
can't do
for
anything
your-
about it.
If you can't do anything about it, then you can't. But you got to
So
find.
then do you
They
still have the
don't-
mitzvah?
Sure.
So by not being in the way, you're doing the mitzvah.
So sometimes you do the mitzvah by not disagreeing with her in public, by not calling her by her first name, by not sitting in her chair. So there are things you don't do in order to honor her, but it's much nicer when there are things you can do.
Obviously. Yeah.
So think about that. That's a daily constant in your life. If that's not correct and comfortable, then you're daily uncomfortable in your life. And that's no fun. So if you really want to have fun, you got to make sure your mother is being honored. And the beauty of it is, you don't even have to agree with your mother to honor her.
Right.
You don't even have to like her to honor her. You can honor her just in fact, by doing the right things. And that obviously is going to make the relationship better. So I was sitting in my apartment on President Street, where we grew up, and my great uncle was there. He came to eat supper at our house. He was alone. He was old. He was very quiet, very gentle. And we were sitting in this tiny little kitchen, and my mother was standing behind me at the sink. And I said to my mother, "Can I have a spoon?" And my uncle went ballistic.
Was he always quiet?
Huh?
Was he like a very quiet person usually?
Yes. But he was shocked. He was horrified. And he said, "You're using your mother?" I said, "What did I do? She's standing right there. The spoons are right there on the sink." He was horrified. And he was right.
Did you give you the spoon?
Hmm?
Did she give you the spoon?
I never asked her again. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's do this again.
For sure.
Oh, really?
The meeting gets all the questions, so we'll come back. I'll talk to your teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Oh,
She should